Hi, everyone. I'm Sam Wilson Jr., and this is the Black Soul Music Experience Podcast, the music podcast on where I interview singers and musicians from genres of black music: gospel, jazz, blues, old school classic soul, old school hip hop, today's hip hop and R&B, Caribbean, Latin, Afrobeat, Afro-Latina, blue-eyed soul, disco, go-go, line dances, and the Lost 45s. So come with me as I take you on to a trip to the destination genre of black music right now on the Black Soul Music Experience Podcast. Legal Shield is a proud sponsor of the Black Soul Music Experience Podcast. Have you been involved in any types of accidents? Have you been a victim of identity theft? Have you been a victim of a computer fraud scam? Have you been in disputes with your tenants or landlords? If your loved one dies and they didn't write up a will for you or for your family, or you and your spouse are filing for divorce, or if you need help by opening up your small business, give Legal Shield a try. Visit their website at LegalShield.com and tell them you heard it here on the Black Soul Music Experience Podcast. Do it today. You'll be glad you did. I'm Sam Wilson Jr., creator and host of the Black Soul Music Experience Podcast. Now, before I bring up my special guest, I have good news to share with you. I have a new website, and you can look for it at the Black Soul Music Experience Podcast.com. That's right, folks. I have a new website called the Black Soul Music Experience Podcast.com. If you have a computer, laptop, notebook, or if you have a desktop computer and it has either MSN or AOL, make sure you type in the name of my podcast website, the Black Soul Music Experience Podcast.com. And if you have Google on your smartphone, make sure you type in the Black Soul Music Experience Podcast.com. That's where you find all of my news blogs, or whatever you want to call it. That's where I tell you what's going to be on the next episode for the entire month. So please check out my website and please pass it on. Make sure you check out my website, the Black Soul Music Experience Podcast.com. That's the Black Soul Music Experience Podcast.com. In the meantime, enjoy today's episode and thank you for your support. Welcome to the Black Soul Music Experience. I'm Sam Wilson Jr., and I have a special guest on my show as I continue my subject on music playing a part in fashion and the arts. This lady that I'm about to introduce represents the Boogie Down Bronx, New York. She is an entrepreneur who started out as a makeup artist, started working in a bank, and later worked as an insurance agent. Today, she is the founder of Funded and Flourishing. Please help me welcome to the Black Soul Music Experience Podcast, ladies and gentlemen, Miss Troi Hawkins.
Yay. Thank you.
How are you, my friend?
I'm doing very well. Thank you. How are
Alrighty,
you?
welcome to my show. Glad to have you here. Special shout out to Nina, whom I have met, and it was recommended by Andy Falkhauser from California on the Lineable, and he hooked me up to Nina, and we met at the Liberty Diner on Williamsbridge Road and Lydic Avenue. I'm no
Beautiful.
stranger to that section because I'm just 2 blocks away from PS 108. That's my alma mater
Oh,
on
that's
Neal Avenue
nice.
between Yates and Herring Avenue. So I'm no
Beautiful.
stranger to the neighborhood, and I've interviewed her and I've aired the episode on Veterans Day. Perfect timing.
Perfect timing.
So, so as I said in the intro, we're continuing our topic on how does music play a part in fashion and the arts.
Yes.
So as always, America doesn't know who you are, the world doesn't know who you are, So I'm very delighted to have you here on my show. So let us begin, shall we?
Yes. Thank you for having me.
Okay. Now, let's get to know you a bit. Can you tell us a bit about your origin story? Where were you born? And what type of environment did you grow up in?
Wow. I am from the Bronx. I was born in the Bronx and I was raised in Harlem. So I lived in the Bronx until I was about 4, moved to Harlem and moved out of Harlem as an adult. And I have been living in the Bronx since I was about 23. So my family is new. We're full New Yorkers, born and raised. All of us are either in Harlem or in the Bronx. But I went to Virginia State University for college, and I ended up being a college dropout. I didn't finish school. And when I came home, I said, you know what? I'm going to get a job because I'm obviously not doing anything here but partying. Now, I will say the Black college experience is very invigorating. So, you can either go and do what you got to do and still have fun, or you're going to get caught up into the popularity, which is what happened with me. But I honestly cannot say that I remember any classwork being done, maybe very little. I was very popular and having a good time. So I said, you know what? Let me go on home. But then also, my father passed away. So it really took a toll on me. And I came home and I was thinking about going back, but the chips were kind of like falling, and I wouldn't things weren't falling on my behalf. So I definitely was just like, I'm just gonna stay home and get a job, and I'm not really doing anything in school. So I ended up working at H&M, and that was when the H&M was on 125th Street. I don't know if it's still there, but working there. And then the whole time I was there, people were asking me, did I work at the Mac store, which is the cosmetic store up the street? And I'm like, how are they asking me if I work there and I'm working here? So it was always weird to me, but I always made sure I had my makeup done. My mom was somebody who wore makeup every day. Excuse me. And
Okay. Alrighty. So, anyway,
yeah,
yeah.
sorry about that. So, um, yeah, so I ended up working at the H&M. I ended up getting fired from H&M and I ended up working in makeup, and I was there. That was my job from the time from October 2006 all the way up to 2017. So I spent a lot of time there at the Mac store. I was a cashier and I worked my way all the way up to management, and I was in management most of the time that I was there. So I was only a cashier for 6 months. So that should let you know that I'm always somebody who is, evolving and looking for more, the next step and the next step. I'm always raising the bar. So I working there, I got full boot camp on business, how to run a business, numbers. I was always very fascinated with, I'm also a Leo, and I'm I have a control freak thing where I'm just like, I don't want anybody telling me what to do. So I need to be the boss, or I'm not. This is not going to work. So, which is kind of it's a lot, but yes, if I'm not the boss, I don't want to be involved. So, and that's not for everything, but um, so I ended up managing locations in Brooklyn, in Harlem, and in Manhattan. The biggest location that was in Manhattan was in Times Square. It was a $14 million door, and I was part of five, or I think it was like 8 managers, and we had 80 employees, and I was like the number one person there for customer service. So customer service was my thing. I made sure all the customers were it went like their whole process from the time they walked in the door to the time they walked out was a seamless process, and that they were happy. So that was always my thing, and it works well because I was bred as a people pleaser, right? So I ended up this is my lane. So fast forward to 2017, I ended up going to um, beauty school, getting a beauty school a cosmetology license, and I stepped out on my own and said I want to run my own business. I did not have a list of clients to work with, nothing. I pretty much just took a leap of faith and jumped out there. Now, was business slow? Yes, I didn't have a whole lot of clients, but I was highly referred which ended up really helping me. Like I really was making a way for myself. I was going out to my clients, meeting them all the time, doing beauty sessions, teaching people how to do their own makeup, and also doing their makeup for all of their events. So every time I helped one person, they would literally refer me to about three or four of their friends and family. So I was never not working on somebody. And then after beauty school, I just had the mind that was like, I'm doing this because I want to work in TV and film. And when I'm done with beauty school, that's what I'm going to do. One day I got a phone call and somebody had gotten fired and they needed a new makeup artist. And they asked me would I go do a demo on one of my clients. And I went and did the demo and she hired me right there on the spot. So I ended up doing TV and film, and I worked on the Kitchen Network TV show. I don't know if you know the Kitchen or Food Network. It actually just ended, but it was a long running show. And I worked on one client, and I only had that one client, and I worked with her for 3 to 4 years. And then the pandemic hit and shut my entire beauty business down. I wasn't getting any clients. I didn't have any money. I didn't save any money. So my whole process just went down. And during the pandemic, I said I needed to pivot because I couldn't be in anyone's face during the pandemic. All of my clients were calling saying that there's this big disease happening and we can't be in anyone's faces. Everyone's sick. I'm sorry, I have to cancel my appointment. And it was just my whole world was just spinning. And I didn't have anyone to coach me on what I was supposed to be doing in business. I didn't have anybody saying, well, how to pivot, what you need to do next. So I ended up creating a business behind that whole situation. So I turned my pain into a testimony and, into a business. And that's how I have Funded and Flourishing, which is a division of Valina Consulting Group that I own right now.
Okay. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about that later on.
Yes, sure.
So, at first, my condolences goes out to you in the loss of your father. And number two,
Hmm.
I was born in the village of Harlem. And then after my parents were divorced back in the summer of 1969, it was just me and my late mother and my late oldest sister. We would move to the Bronx.
Mm,
I can tell you different situations from yours. Where I moved to the Bronx, I've been moved around the Bronx lots of
mm,
times. When I was
mm,
living on Harrison Avenue
mhm.
near Jerome Avenue, like three blocks away from the number four subway
Right.
station, then
Mhm.
moved to the east side in Parkchester, like 7 or 8 blocks away from the number six subway station. And then it was just me and mom moving back to Harlem with her friends. We lived in the projects for a while. We lived on
Yeah.
Fifth Avenue between West 113th and West 115th Street. We was
Mhm.
there from May of 1972 until the
Mhm.
end of the year. And then like after Christmas, we moved back to the Bronx and
Mhm.
all of our furniture that mom had, from the first marriage, and then moved to Harrison Avenue, then moved to Parkchester, and then we have stayed in the projects, and then we moved back to the Bronx. We live further up in the Wakefield section
Right.
off of Bronxwood Avenue and East
Mhm.
226th Street going towards Westchester County. We
Right.
lived in a two-family house. We lived on the street level, and all of our furniture was there as a surprise.
Mm.
So my late mother never tells me anything. She's like being silent,
Surprise
like,
you.
yeah, like surprise me.
Mhm.
And then moved to Rylander Avenue and Eastchester Road.
Mhm.
I lived in those apartments, just like the Jeffersons, moving
Yeah.
on up.
The
So
high
we were
rise.
we were there for 6 years and then moved back up to the Bronx again, Baychester section, then moved further up and then moved near the number five subway station. So
Wow.
you and I have something in common. You
Similar.
were born in the Bronx and then moved to Harlem and come back to the Bronx. And I still have relatives in Harlem, and the
Mhm.
rest I've been to family reunions. I have cousins now here in the Bronx, and the rest is in Brooklyn and Queens and upstate and the New England colonies, and the rest is out in the DMV, that's DC, Maryland, and Virginia,
Right.
and Pennsylvania, one in Cleveland, Ohio, and the rest is out on the West Coast representing California.
Wow.
So I have like a whole branch of my late father's side of the family, but
Hmm.
on my late mother's side, it's just all Virginia,
Right.
representing Hampton and Newport News and Richmond and
Hmm.
Charlottesville. And some of her relatives from Richmond have moved to DC, where I go to every October. Now, since you went to college but dropped out of college, what was the name of the college that you had went to before you dropped out of college?
Oh, Virginia State University. It was
Oh,
historically
okay.
black college. Yes.
Ah, yes, yes,
Yeah.
that's my mom's state of Virginia.
Yeah.
Virginia, yep.
Loved it
But,
there.
oh, okay.
Hmm.
Before you went there, what high
Hmm.
school did you go to?
I went to Murray Bergstrom High School. So I was down there when 9/11 happened. So Murray Bergstrom is right next to the towers. We could see it from my classroom. And I saw
Oh,
the entire thing happen. I was actually one of the first students to inform people that that's what that big boom, that big first boom was.
mm-hmm,
I was curious because I heard it and I
mm-hmm,
said something ain't right. That sounded like somebody bombed the tower.
mm-hmm,
And I went out the classroom. I asked my teacher if I could go use the bathroom. I went out, and one of the custodians, he was like, "Come, look, look, look." He opened the door, and we saw papers and smoke flying and just fire. So I ran back to my classroom, told my teacher, and everybody just got up and started to run. My teacher said, "Wait, wait, 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 wait. We have to wait for the loudspeaker because back in the day, the loudspeaker had to tell everybody what to do."
mm-hmm,
So she said, "No, no, we're gonna wait until the loudspeaker." And then we sat down. It was probably like maybe 2 minutes later. Boom, another boom. She said, "We getting out of here." And she grabbed her bag and we all
mm-hmm,
followed her out. And that was one of the things that I'm like, I was a part of history. It was kind of, we all should have had some sort of therapy after that too, because it was, they didn't even, we had to walk home that day. It took us almost about 12 hours or something to walk home from school from all the way down there to Harlem, and me and all my friends stuck together. It was just a lot. We seeing bodies flying out the window, people. It was a lot. It was a very catastrophic day, and they should have given us some sort of therapy after that, because we once we returned to school, I think it was like a month or so after that.
mm-hmm.
And but I was down there when all of that stuff happened. I saw it firsthand.
Oh,
Yeah, Murray
oh,
Bertram is right there by the Twin Towers.
wow.
Pearl Street. That's where our school was located.
Oh,
It was a lot.
wow. Well, as a former Viacom CBS Paramount employee, you know, when we work for the media for
Hmm.
news, sports, and entertainment,
Hmm.
we were there when we heard the news that the first plane hit, and I was just coming from doing the election, primary
Yeah.
election. That was on the same
Hmm.
day.
Hmm.
So then when we heard that the first plane hit tower number one at 8:48 a.m., and then the next plane hit 20 minutes later, and
Hmm.
then we was at the CBS Black Rock headquarters at
Wow.
51 West 52nd Street. So we were all had to lock down.
Yeah.
So we were there until we have left at 3 p.m. So we
Hmm.
heard that everything went tumbling
Yeah.
down.
Yeah.
And when I left uh, the building, I was checking to see if there was any express buses were running. And then someone told me, no express bus running? I said, I gotta take the subway home? Are you serious?
Let me tell you, my aunt worked down there, and she heard the first thing happen, and she got out of her office, got on the train, and was home. She didn't waste any time. As soon as she heard that first boom, she got her stuff and left. She was home already, and she lived up here in the Bronx. She got on that. I think what train is that? The 4 train by Pearl Street. I think it's the 4 train.
Yeah,
The 4
because
and the
number
5.
4 and 5,
Yeah.
that's right by Pearl Street and Fulton Street.
Yeah. That's
So
it.
once it gets to 149th Street and Concourse, the 5 goes up to the Baychester section. That's
Exactly.
where I live at in that area.
Mm-hmm.
And the 4 goes up to Woodlawn.
Yep. So she
So
got on
I
that
I
too.
meant to ask you what section you live in the Bronx
So
because
I'm on Bedford Park, but I'm in between the 4 and the D. Now I can take the D train or I can take the 4 train,
hmm
which is great because I never have to walk far to the train. I knew that I didn't want to be in those two fare zones. I knew that I didn't want to be in that
oh
because the Bronx in a two fare zone is not nice. It's not good.
oh yeah, well, for me, I'm just a 20-minute walk from the number 5 subway station off
Mhm.
of East Gun Hill Road and Seymour Avenue.
Mhm.
But around the corner from me, I have the express bus
Mhm.
and the BX30 and the BX31 bus and the
Mhm.
Westchester B line buses that
Yeah, the
goes
Beeline
up
buses.
to Mount Vernon and New Rochelle
Yeah.
and Larchmont.
Mhm.
And since COVID, I was waiting for the number 30 bus, and I said, "Where's the number 30 bus?" This was the second day of COVID, so I
Mhm.
ended up taking the express bus, and I've been taking the express bus since 2022, and I was getting
Mhm.
ready to go to my family reunion during the summer of 2022. So back then, you couldn't put no garment bag on the express buses, not anymore. No
Mhm.
more than 2 or 3 pieces. After
Yeah.
that, you're off the
It
bus.
was the bus.
And then when I was going to the subway station, they just put in a brand new elevator
Oh
because
wow.
once we get off at Gun Hill Road during the afternoon rush hour, let me tell you, lots and lots of passengers getting out of the Gun Hill Road
Yeah.
subway station. There
Mhm.
was no elevator back
Mhm.
then. It was
Mhm.
just the stairs.
Yeah.
And now they just put the elevator in there just a year before the pandemic.
Mhm.
Now you have all the seniors who have walkers and mobility wheelchairs. So now it's, accessible
Yeah.
for them. So like I said, I lived through those news events, 9/11, the beating death of Rodney King, which the next day had the riots in LA.
Mhm. Mhm.
And we were out early because you
Yeah.
never know what's going to happen next.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
And the COVID pandemic and the death of George Floyd,
Yeah.
which sparkled the Black
Mhm.
Lives Matter movement
Yep.
and everything in the 2020 election. I
Yeah.
was there for those events. And
Yeah.
yes, the UN summit too,
Yeah.
because we were
Yep.
right not too far away from the United Nations and the
Yeah.
hotels that the
Mhm.
all of the prime
Protest.
ministers were
Yeah.
staying at.
Yeah. Yeah. They were
So
down there.
so we was like news when anything happens, you gotta send it out right away.
Mhm.
So you and I have the same thing in common.
Yeah.
You've witnessed the the planes hitting at the World Trade Center.
Mhm.
As for me, when we hear something on the news, everything from COVID, and a couple of people, lots of people had COVID,
Yeah.
and I was exposed to COVID, but
Mhm.
thank God I wasn't get
Oh,
rushed to the hospital
wow.
from
Good for
COVID.
you. Yeah.
And, even though I've lost my 3 paternal cousins from
Mhm.
COVID,
Mhm.
and a couple of my church members
Yeah.
died from COVID.
Mhm.
And my church that I belong to, Community Protestant Church, it was in Co-op City. Then my church moved up to East Gun Hill Road between Gunther and Teeman. And
Mhm.
then when the pandemic hit, we didn't have no service. So it
Yeah.
wasn't until the next day that we was doing conference call.
Uh-huh.
So
Yeah.
70% of my church members are seniors, so they're not up with the times. So my
Yeah.
pastor tells everybody, please turn off the water, turn off the radio and TV.
Mhm.
Stop what you're doing, get to your phones because we're going to have church.
Yes. Okay.
And we had to learn that the hard way.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
then now when the post pandemic, we went back in, but we were learning social distancing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
not
And I kind
everybody
of
was,
wish that we would still have the social distancing because We acting like we never even had to be socially distanced. It's like, did y'all forget about COVID?
Hmm.
People are right back on top of you like they didn't have to be.
Yeah.
But
So,
yeah.
like every vacation I go to, I
Mhm.
have my mask and my garment bag
Mhm.
and my
Yeah.
suitcase.
Yeah.
So when I'm doing my vacation, whether I'm visiting my cousins during my birthday vacation
Mhm.
or going to my family reunion, I always take my mask with me because if you're sitting on an Amtrak train or the Greyhound or Peter Pan bus, you don't know who you're going to be sitting next to.
You don't know.
So
You
you
don't
so
know.
you got to have your mask at
You
all
definitely
times.
do, for sure. Even on the
Yes.
train, you should have
Hmm.
it. Even traveling on the four, the D, all of these trains and buses, you have to.
Hmm.
Because I'm seeing people are not covering their mouths; they're just coughing. And I just had something that was COVID similar, which is the reason
Hmm.
why I'm still coughing.
Hmm.
So I know something that it was probably COVID again.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's why I gotta take my vaccines,
Mhm.
and get used to it. Because I tell everybody, just take the vaccine for crying out loud.
Mhm.
You know we're not out of this yet.
Mhm.
So even though the pandemic is finished, but COVID is here to stay
Yeah.
for
It's
life.
definitely another version of a flu for sure.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And same thing, with AI. AI ain't going away. It's here to stay.
Yeah, for
So we
sure.
try to, let our
Mhm.
audience know, and especially when I'm promoting my podcast to
Yeah.
my family members. But
Mhm.
you still gotta keep pushing it because everybody was saying like, oh, look at him doing the podcast. You shouldn't be doing that. But
Really?
hey, but this was part of the people development program that I've signed up from
Mhm.
CBS before I was laid off. It
Mhm.
was telling us be prepared for the worst
Yeah.
because when I'm seeing other people, it's like saying, I want to be like those detectives you see on TV, Mannix, Cannon, Barnaby Jones, and Magnum, and Simon and Jim Rockford and Charlie's Angels.
Mhm.
They've all worked in the corporate world
Mhm.
because when I was on the Lineable and LinkedIn, everybody that I've seen in real life, they have worked in the corporate
Yeah.
world and now they
Mhm.
have their own businesses.
Yeah. And
So,
that's the future, to be honest. The future
mhm,
is all there's from what I hear, because of AI, it is going to evolve to the point where everyone will be a business owner. Everyone. Because
mhm,
the jobs that we know are not going to be there's not going to be the positions for those anymore. Those positions are disappearing. So everyone will have no other choice but to start using their skills that they know of, creating a community of people who will buy from them, who will listen to them, who will buy their art, which turns you into a creator, which, like yourself, you're a creator, you're a podcaster, you've created this platform, right? And you have to now learn how to market yourself as a business, because those positions in corporate are all going to be wiped out because of AI now doing the bulk of those positions. So, this is great that you're doing this because AI is creating a way, and it's not so, everyone's running and screaming, yeah. But if you use AI every day for at least an hour, not using it to think for you, but to kind of work on the ideas that you already have and kind of streamline them into a business, then you'll be fine.
mhm. Yep. Well, like we all say, we got a long way to go.
Yeah, yeah. We don't know which way it's going.
Yes.
That part.
Now,
Mhm.
before you got into the real world, which we're going to talk about in a few minutes, when you were a young girl, who did you want to be when you grow up?
Oh wow. Um, I definitely who did I want to be? I wanted to be a fashion designer. I knew I wanted to be a business owner. I definitely wanted to be a fashion designer. My mom bought me this treasure chest of clothing items, and I used to wear them and dress up into them. I love dress up. And I grew up watching music videos, and I was always very fascinated with the choreography and always very fascinated with the fashion. So I wanted to be in fashion. That was my thing. I knew I was going to be either in fashion, but somewhere in the industry of behind the scenes and making people beautiful, beautifying them or dressing them. I even, when I dropped out of college, I also, like I said, I worked at a retail store, and I was under the wing of the merchandiser who was always very fashionable, very stylish, and I always loved how she would style the mannequins in the window. So I love fashion. So and then in the Mac store, when you walked into a Mac store, and I don't know if anybody who are listeners understand how walking into a Mac store was like walking into a fashion house, because the faces were done and you had to look your best at work. Like you could put on your best black, whatever that black was. It could be to the most grandiose outfit down to the most simple outfit, but the faces and the hair and the makeup, the clothing, everything was just so fabulous. And I said, one day I am going to work for this company. One day I'm going to work for this brand. And when I got fired from H&M, I went and applied at Mac and got the job instantly. But uh my greatest love was definitely fashion. For sure. Like I wanted to be a fashion designer.
Okay. Now, growing up, what were some of your favorite radio stations?
Oh wow. Hot 97. And I loved my mom used to listen to WBLS, and she used to listen to Wendy Williams. And The Quiet Storm. But Hot 97 was my favorite. I loved listening to Angie Martinez and listening to Funk Flex. Um, and I was obsessed with Funk Flex when I found out that him and I have the same birthday. So I called in one day and spoke to him, and I was like, "We have the same birthday." And he was like, "Okay, happy birthday." Like, that was a big moment. Like when I found out he was a Leo too, I was like, "Oh, it's over." So I was able to call him, but that was back in the day when we used to I used to record his show on my radio, on my cassette tape,
Hmm.
rewind it, record over it, put the little tape in the hole so that you can
Hmm.
record over it. Wow. But yes, the my stations, favorite radio stations were definitely Hot 97, WBLS, and The Quiet Storm, because I think my mom would listen to The Quiet Storm and WBLS. So I grew up on those stations.
Okay. Now, growing up, who were some of your favorite singers?
Oh wow. So Luther Vandross, definitely Anita Baker. Um but I was in love with Drew Hill. I had a shrine of Drew Hill pictures in my room. My room was a Drew Hill shrine. Um but definitely Drew Hill 112, Mary J. Blige, Lil Kim. I always talk about Little Kim and how my mom, I got in trouble listening to her album one time. My mom cracked it in half and dropped it like a mic in front of me and was like, "Now listen to that." And my friend bought it for me. We were in 7th grade. What were we doing listening to hardcore? Little Kim? Come on now. And I will never forget how my mom broke the CD and literally dropped it in front of me like a mic. Like, "Now you listen to that."
Uh, who were your favorite singers? We mentioned Little Kim with her
Mm-hmm.
solo LP,
Yep.
Hardcore. Because
Yep.
when I first saw that poster promo, you see kneeling down, I said, "Come on, Kim, we don't want to see your kitty cat. Cover that up, girl." And in case you may not know, Little Kim was influenced by the adult film industry. So
Okay.
when I see the music videos,
Mhm.
Tupac and Biggie, I have
Mhm.
those, adult film
Yeah.
actresses, everyone from Heather Hunter, Janet
Mhm.
Jackme,
Mm-hmm.
Nina Hartley, and Vanessa Del Rio,
Yep.
all of those actresses. You
Yep.
know, she's influenced by the adult film industry.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
every time when I see her on the VMAs, but one time, 1998, she had on that red thing. You can almost see
Yep.
her boobs.
Yep.
But then in 1999, at the Met, you would not believe she was wearing that half dresses like this, and you see her
Mm-hmm.
boobs, you see the thing
Yep.
pasted up.
Yep.
And
Yep.
Diana Ross came in like, ow!
Exactly. Yep. I remember that. I do remember that. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
so that's little Kim. You know,
Yeah.
she's influenced by the adult film
Yeah.
industry. You know,
Yeah.
that's how she looked like back then. But how she looked like now, I'm like,
Yeah.
ew.
Yeah. She's definitely evolved a lot and changed a lot. I will say that. But she was definitely somebody who we loved her. Even as kids, we were just like, wow, this girl is, she is authentically her. And she was unapologetic, and so I liked her. I liked Foxy Brown. I liked Jay-Z. Definitely. I wasn't a really big Biggie fan, but Mace and Diddy at the time, right? We grew up on Diddy, so when all that drama happened with him, we were just like floored because not our Diddy, like that was our guy. So we were
Mhm.
all like a little disappointed because we grew up watching him and Mace, and it was Harlem World. That was my Harlem World era. So, you
Mhm.
know, but those were definitely my faves for sure.
Yeah, because the Diddy that I knew, he be best remembered for sampling stuff.
Yes.
And my late
Sample
mother
King.
was asking me, are they doing remakes? No, they're
Hmm.
sampling. In other
Yeah.
words, they're doing a new song over old
Yep.
stuff.
Exactly. And they're
So
doing it
that's
now
what
with
we
the
all
stuff that
seeing.
we used to make.
Hmm.
So, hmm
Now, we mentioned earlier about Mac and everything because
hmm
every time when I see the MAC sign, I'll see something in Essence or
hmm
Ebony.
hmm
Then I would see either like Little Kim or Mary J. Blige in those ads and stuff.
yeah.
Now, you started out as a retail manager, as you said
hmm
earlier.
hmm
How many years have you worked at Mac Costumes, and was the company minority owned?
At the time, well, I think it still is one of the sister brands of Clinique, Estee Lauder. Excuse me, not Clinique. Estee Lauder is
Hmm.
they're owned by Estee Lauder, and so they still are. But they used to have a lot of to influence the Black community. They had a lot of African American colors as far as foundations. They were one of the first brands to have a large color range that would
Hmm.
fit all types of shades of black, right? So the black woman was the number one customer,
Hmm.
and that's why you saw Little Kim, that's why you saw Mary J. Blige, Diana Ross, and all of those huge icons. And those were their icon collections. They used to have launches every quarter. They would launch a new artist, and they would have a whole collection to themselves. And that was our big thing, like to collect those, have something from those collections. And it was like the, let's say, baseball cards for
Hmm.
people who are baseball buffs and things like that. So that was us. Like we had to have something from the collection. But the perk of working for the company was that we would get a part of the collection for free. And so for years I had thousands of pieces of makeup just here. I never had to buy anything for my kit. I never had to buy makeup because I was literally getting free makeup every quarter.
Hmm.
So yeah, so it was catered to the black woman because again, even though it's not owned by a black owner, but heavily influenced by the black customer.
Yeah. And what was the reason why you left Mac Cosmetics?
Okay, that's a good question. One of the things as a manager, one of the things that I noticed was that they were opening a lot of locations at the time, and it's the exclusivity of MAC Cosmetics started to go down. They so and I made a joke that it was becoming the Starbucks of makeup, right? You can find a Starbucks on every 10 blocks, right? And Mac was very exclusive, a few locations, and for some reason they thought that they should open up all of these locations. And, I thought it took away the exclusivity of it. I also found that there was kind of like it wasn't moving with the times, right? Because we had started entering the social media stages of makeup where now social media was going to influence makeup buyers everywhere, right? So you had makeup tutorials on YouTube. People were learning how to do their own makeup. I believed at the time that every artist could have had their own community, even while being an artist at a Mac location, right? Because now if you become a social media influencer for yourself and you're at the Mac counter and you're saying, "Hey, I'm at the Mac counter today. Come see me. I'm here. I'll be here between so forth and so forth. Come on down and get your makeup done." They were not open to us having an influence or having our phones out. Now you have to show people what you're doing. You have the people want to know what you're doing. And I noticed that they were not really as open to newness. They wanted everything it's like we're giving them feedback, but that was essentially I believe that the downfall of the brand and why they really and there's people still working at Mac now, but you'll go to a counter and there's nobody at a counter. You can go to a Macy's and there's maybe one person, and then plenty of times I walk past a Mac counter and there's no one there. I worked in Macy's Herald Square for my very first location was Macy's Herald Square. And the counter, I think it would be at least 20 to 30 artists at the counter at one time. So they just to me the reason why I left was I kind of started to see where they weren't moving forward. It was our way, how we want to do it, and that's it. And I was like, this is falling apart. And I have the foresight to see certain things when it's starting to not make sense anymore. So, I'm always like that with in my personal life and in my career. When I start seeing that things are changing, I pivot quickly. So I just pivoted. It wasn't working for me. I also was making a lot of mistakes as a manager, and I was like, this is not like me. I'm distracted. I just had my son. There was nowhere for me to pump my milk. There was a lot of things going on. So I was just like, let me take a step back. I was going through depression, and it was just a lot of things, postpartum depression with my son, and going through a lot of personal issues with his father and things like that. So I just needed to recalibrate. So with everything, being so intense, I was not really there mentally.
Mm, wow.
It was a
You
lot.
went through a lot,
Yeah.
so
Mm-hmm.
I applaud you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Now, you later worked as a makeup artist, then later an insurance agent,
Mm-hmm.
then a credit agent, and a business consultant. Please share with our audience on your experiences. Like you're
Yeah.
jumping from this one, and then 3 years later, that one, and then
Yeah.
another 3 years, that one, and then another 3 years like that one. I said, I can't do that. Mm-mm. I can't do that. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I can't do that.
So it goes back to pivoting, right? And I noticed that my journey basically is I used to really be hard on myself and say that I'm a quitter and, always thinking about what somebody would think, because I'm starting this thing and then now I'm moving on to this thing and now I'm moving on to this thing. And now it makes sense that every single thing I've done has built my skills to be able to help the beauty community, right? So that's the reason why I've become a consultant for the beauty professional, because what I found was that beauty professionals have no financial literacy. None, right? The financial literacy to help them grow a business, run a business, and to also, if necessary, be able to sell their business. Because the biggest exit of a business, your goal is to exit, have an exit plan, right? And to sell the business. So if we have no information, right? A lot of us, I've done market research this entire time, right? And becoming an insurance agent after being broke because of COVID, after losing all of my clients, after my son using my last $600 that I had in my account, like on the second day of COVID, because we didn't know what was going on. We were a little confused. We were trying to figure something out, and my son wasn't in school. So I gave him my phone. And I told him to just play with my phone because he didn't have anything else to do. We were trying to figure out what to do. I let him play with my phone. This guy is playing Talking Tom on my phone. And with Talking Tom, in order to continue playing, you have to press the button to add more money so that you can play. He racked up $600. And that was my last $600 in my account. And I called Apple and they said they would not return my money because I should have had parental controls on my phone. Now, I wasn't thinking that because he's never used my phone before. You know, he didn't have his own phone. But for some reason, these kids are so advanced. He's scrolling and playing the game, and I hear him now in the other room just ding, ding, the phone just going off. But I'm not knowing that he's just using up my money in my account. So I go to my account to look because this is like day 2 of the pandemic. And I'm like, okay, well, at least we can go buy some food, some groceries, whatever. And this was before unemployment started paying people. So I went to go get 600, look at my $600 just to make sure it was there, and it was gone. I had negative $600. I had negative 30 or something $50 in my account, and I was like, oh my god, what just happened? And so I had to. So again, my credit wasn't bad. I didn't know how to leverage my credit to get me things until I met my partner, and he taught me a few things about real estate. I ended up meeting some people who did credit, learned the credit game, and I also became a licensed life insurance agent that October of 2020. So I had a friend who used to come to the Mac counter all the time to come visit me. And she would always be like, you should become an insurance agent. And I'm like, girl, I ain't think about no insurance. I'm just selling makeup. And this is my life. And this is what I'm going to be doing. She would come around all the time. And she was very persistent. She never quit. She would always come around. But when my son was born, I remembered her and I called her and got an insurance policy instantly through her. And so when the pandemic hit, I had to pivot to try to figure out what I was going to do, make money. And I became an insurance agent. Naturally, when you become an insurance agent, you actually learn financial literacy because you have to know about people's money. You have to learn the rule of 72, right? How money compound interest, right? How to, they ask you about your credit. They ask you about all of your financials when you're doing a life insurance policy. Naturally, they have to ask you these questions. So you want to know about people's finances. So you learn about that. And credit was another thing that I got into. I just started learning about ways to never really lose money again because I was so distraught from losing all my money. I was like, I need to learn about money. I need to learn how I'm going to be able to keep money coming in. And so I noticed that the beauty professional was someone who was like, I'm tired. I don't want to have to schlep my kid everywhere. And this came down the line. So everything, basically, long story short, everything has helped me. All the things that I learned has helped me come to the conclusion that I'm a consultant. You know, I can help the beauty professional who really doesn't know what to do next in her business because I didn't have a coach. I didn't have anybody telling me what to do or how to pivot or, you know, what I should market, how I should market myself, what softwares I should be using, what booking apps I should be using, things like that. So all of those things ended up, now hindsight being 2020, it was all leading me up to what I do now.
Well, now that's a powerful testimony.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for sharing because after I was laid off from Viacom, CBS Paramount, and I was on severance pay, and then by the end of February going into March, I was looking forward to get that pension check.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden, I was getting ready to call my bank and see if my pension check came in. And then all of a sudden, something's wrong. What's going on here? And then I had to contact the pension department
Mm-hmm.
and find out what was going on. And then they have told me that they haven't received my papers. And I say, wait a minute. I didn't receive nothing. And after I got laid off from CBS at the end of February, going into March, I gotten the first three papers. It was mostly pension.
Mm-hmm.
And then the following week in March, I end up getting retirement papers.
Mm.
I mean, I ain't 65 yet.
Yeah.
I'm 59 going on 60.
Mm-hmm.
But one time, our former CEO, Mr. Lawrence Tish, who bought CBS
Mm-hmm.
back in 1986, all the way up until by the time he sold CBS to Westinghouse in 1995. Here's what happened. When you see all the sports on all of the networks, CBS, NBC, and ABC,
Mm-hmm.
me growing up, CBS, I knew they had the NFL and the NBA and NCAA. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't know they had baseball nor the Winter Olympics. I
Mm-hmm.
only knew that NBC and ABC, they had baseball, football, NCAA, and they didn't have tennis, but CBS had tennis.
Right.
But then when Mr. Tish took over, he took baseball from NBC and ABC and, put it here. So CBS does fine with the baseball games on radio, but on TV, mm-mm.
Yeah.
And that's what happens when he had the World Series,
Mm-hmm.
1990. It was the Cincinnati Reds, and I forgot what team they were playing in the American League. So Mr. Tish made a bet on going for 7 games.
Mm-hmm.
So if the Cincinnati Reds lose like 1 or 2 games, they will go for game number 5 or game number 6 or game number 7. What happened
Mm-hmm.
was the Cincinnati Reds won all 4 games and
Wow.
he lost the bet.
Mm.
And then he had to pay that person who had his team won. And the following year, everything was all, we got to cut everybody, cut this
Yeah.
department, cut that department. And then he started bringing up the early retirement plan.
Mm-hmm.
We can retire at age 55. And still up to this date, they have two things. Either you can take early retirement at 55 or stay at 65, the normal age for your regular package. So if you
Mm-hmm.
took early retirement, you're not going to get the whole thing. You're only going to get
Right.
half.
Right.
So if you stayed at 65, you get the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
So as I said, when I got the retirement papers, I said, I ain't 65 yet. So what happened was when I sent them out, and I sent it out regular mail because CBS was so cheap,
Mm-hmm.
giving me a zero point 0.3 salary raise. That's not cutting it.
Mm-mm. No.
And when I had sent it out regular mail instead of express mail, and I said, I'm just sending it regular mail. Why? Because you didn't give me a decent salary. If you were giving me a decent salary, I would send it out express mail.
Right.
But then I didn't get no emails or calls and saying, hey, Mr. Wilson, we got half your papers, but we didn't get the other half. So that's when I called the pension department, and CBS hired someone from the outside to take
Mm-hmm.
care of all the CBS employers for their pensions, the retirements, and resignations.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I found out that they didn't get the papers. And now I know that I got lost in the mail.
Yeah.
So they resend me the papers again. So
Mm.
then they had me down for May of 2024 for termination instead of February, March 2024.
Okay.
So after then, I was going to food pantries
Mm-hmm.
from March all the way until I had to get those papers, resend them out again, and then I sent it out express mail. Had to listen to my former CBS coworker and say, like, you better send it out express mail. I was like, yeah, right.
Mm.
And then sent it out the next day. And then the following day, I got a call at 4:30. They said, Mr. Wilson, we got your papers. So the hardest part was I had to take a lump sum. It was the
Yeah.
toughest decision.
Mhm.
Why? Because rent was due.
Yeah. Yeah.
Rent was due. That's number
Mhm.
one.
Mhm.
And me going to food pantries, different churches here in the Bronx and here and there. And I had to survive. And doing my podcast, I've been trying to promote it. And like, it wasn't going nowhere. So when I got to season 4, video, I was like, oh boy,
Mhm.
I gotta keep up with this video thing. And then I had to do it in my kitchen from last
Mhm.
season.
Mhm.
So then a couple of my cousins and friends are saying, don't you have a computer backdrop? And I told them this, you want me to get better things? Then subscribe and support my show.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
how you get better things.
Mhm.
Same thing with me with doing DJ gigs. So I've been doing gigs on the side while I
Yeah.
was working at my day job before the
Mhm.
start of the pandemic. Same thing. You want
Mhm.
me to get better things like a computer, like those DJs downloading stuff to theirs?
Yeah.
Get me to some gigs so I can get better things.
Yeah.
Because the companies that you and I work for give you a cheap salary and a cheap raise, and then you gotta pay rent, and that's not cutting it. You
Mhm.
gotta go use car fare to go from here to there.
Yeah.
That's not cutting it.
Mhm.
Cause one time when the death of George Floyd happened, and after the ransacking of everything, I was
Mhm.
online. I was with Amalgamated. I was on a long line
Yeah.
from East 14th Street around the corner of Fifth Avenue by the new school. I did not get there like around 10:30. Got there at 12 noon to get my pay, get back to work at 12:30, and my assistant supervisor says, "What took you so long? Aren't you supposed to be back at work where work is important? Maybe you should have said, 'How can I get to work with no money?'" Couldn't say nothing. That's something, people should have thought about. I know the work is important, but how should I get to work with no money? Car fare here and there. And then when Juneteenth came, banks were closing early. I had to take that bus, which was free during the pandemic, from Union Square all the way up to East 135th Street, Madison Avenue,
Mm.
walk over the bridge, take the BX1 bus from East 138th Street in the Mott Haven section all the way up
Mhm.
to Van Cortlandt Avenue,
Wow.
walk through Mashulu Parkway, pick up the BX30, and went home.
Mhm.
That's the same situation when the blackout came in 2003. I walked all the way down from West 52nd Street to East 23rd and Madison, wait for the
Yeah.
express bus, super packed. So, you and I are something in common. You had no money in your bank
Mhm.
account,
Mhm.
and I almost had like $1,000 in my savings book account. I was
Mhm.
about this close
Yeah.
from getting evicted.
Yeah.
And then when I got a call from the Department of Labor, there was some unanswered questions that needed to be finished. I'm sitting on that answering machine. It says like, put in your number now. And like beep, 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 beep. I was like, that's not giving me nothing. I'm
Mhm.
talking to like an answering service, like an
Mhm.
AI machine, and you're
Mhm.
not listening to my questions. Because you see, I'd rather speak to a human person real than
Yes.
listening to a machine. Because
Yep.
when I spoke to everybody from the pension department, trying to
Mhm.
figure out when I'm going to get this and that, I got one lady that sounded like Florence from the Jeffersons. And then the next day, I'm talking to one person that sounds like John Wayne and says like, well, first I was finished talking to a person and I had to make sure that they get their pension right in everything and make sure that they get the package that they need.
Mhm.
And then
Mhm.
the next day, I'm trying to get emergency money,
Mhm.
so I won't have to pay any taxes. And then
Mhm.
I'm Speaking of some lady that sound like Minnie Pearl from Hee Haw, saying like, "Howdy, what's up with your pension? Can I help
Oh, wow.
you?"
You never know who you gonna get when you call in.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
It's been a rough day, for last year. And
Mhm.
then when they got the papers finished, and then they told me I was getting my first pension check and the lump sum in June the 2nd. I was like, June the 2nd? And then the next thing they said, okay, you'll get your thing in May. Okay. And then the next thing they say, like, you'll get your thing right away, but we have to let it process. We want to
Yeah.
make sure we get to the right bank because there's a lot of companies out there that's not affiliated with those products that you and I go to. So that's why they had to make sure they got tested out, yada,
Mhm.
yada, yada, and
Mhm.
all that. So when I get back to normal. So I told my cousins, I'm coming to reunion, but you guys subscribe and support my show. Because that was the purpose of the People Development Program. So
That is
you
true.
gotta hit them
Mhm.
with that punch. And like in your situation, you gotta hit them with a punch.
Yeah.
So when I asked you that question, you've been jumping from here and there. I was like,
Yeah.
I can't survive that.
Yeah. It's a
Not
lot.
me. I can't survive that. I'd rather be in one place,
Mhm.
one time,
Mhm.
below the experience. I
Mhm.
was a mail clerk and then moved up to messenger, then moved up to messenger dispatcher for
Mhm.
35 years.
Mhm.
And when the pandemic hit, many people were laid off
Yeah.
during the pandemic. And I've seen so many computers, laptop computers coming in, pink slips and all. It was like
Yeah.
500 plus
Mhm.
from 2020 all the way up until 2022. And everything was all pink slips.
Yeah.
So then by 2023, people were coming back into the building. My supervisor and I, we were supposed to go to 1515.
Mhm.
But then when I
1515,
saw,
that's another building?
yeah,
Okay.
1515 Broadway, which was
Okay.
Viacom.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, because I
So
worked at
we were supposed
1540.
to move over there.
Yeah.
But
Mhm.
then when I looked at my paycheck was going up and down like a yo-yo.
Wow.
And when I saw that it was going to be in a merger, I said, it's time to go.
Yeah.
And I was trying to look for some other jobs. And then by the time I got laid off, I was said you were giving me more time,
Mhm.
you know, to get prepared and everything. But it is what it is.
Yeah.
And
Sorry, my son
everything.
came in. Sorry about that.
Okay. Yeah, so I had to ask you that question, but
Yeah.
for me, jumping from 3 years to another 3 years,
Yeah.
I can't do it. I can't
And
do it.
it goes back to what I said about pivoting and, understanding that there's more that I need to learn and also being somebody who's like I'm discovering. Like if I'm curious about something, I immerse myself into it. And for some reason, and I don't know where the ideas come from. I get a download and I'm just like, okay, let me follow that wherever that is leading me to. That's what I do, So I definitely know that there's a higher force that is moving with me because, like I said, now I realize why everything happened because it's like I'm supposed to be teaching this. I'm supposed to be leading, the beauty industry and being the lead authority in this space because I don't know anybody who's doing it. They'll teach you, even in beauty school, they teach you how to pass the state board test and be able to work in salons or whatever, but they don't teach you the business behind everything. What if you do want to, you know, be a salon owner? How are you going to use your credit to leverage you a salon or to leverage your business or to market your business? How do you do all that? They don't teach you any of those things.
Mm.
So,
Well, it's like the old saying for us black folks, we get crazy with money.
yeah,
And then when everything runs out, then it falls on us.
yeah.
So I'm
Yeah,
very
so
delighted that you had shared that
mhm,
because, we got a long way to go. Sometimes we get crazy and
mhm,
sometimes we don't save
yeah.
it and
And
save it
as an
for.
adult, it is your responsibility. They don't teach that in school. Financial literacy is something that you should know that we should be teaching in schools. You're starting to see it a little bit more now as like a special offer, but like in schools, they're not teaching that financial literacy. Hold on.
Yes. Now, on a happier note, let's talk about your company that you founded, Funded and Flourishing. Please share with our audience about the mission of your company and how many years was it in existence?
So, Funded and Flourishing is a division of Valina Consulting Group. So, Valina Consulting Group is my consulting service where we offer coaching, we offer credit restoration, we offer funding, we also offer business development. So just all business development. Now, funded and flourishing is the funding side, the credit and funding side. So hence the name funded and flourishing. So the reason why we had to separate that because I wanted the consulting side to be about coaching and business development and of women founders and beauty professionals, and so the division of funded and flourishing is just to focus on credit and funding for the business. So it's one business. Valina Consulting Group is the house, and funded and flourishing is the money side, if you will.
Okay. Now, I'm going to read your quote and I'll say it like this: It's never too late to embrace your richest self. Please share with our audience what that quote means in your own words.
Because of all the things that I've gone through, I realized that it only takes information for you to change your wealth, the how wealthy you become, right? Because information changes situations. So it's never too late to become your richest self. And I'm not only talking about money, right? I'm talking about living your life so fully that you feel rich inside, right? And then the whatever is going on inside of you is going to be what reflects on the outside. So becoming your richest self could be taking care of your health. It could be becoming more present with the now, what's happening now. It could be, helping somebody who is in need. It could be holding a baby, raising your vibrations by helping children. We all know that children are the most vulnerable in the world. So, those are things that I mean by becoming your richest self. Whatever makes you feel rich inside, it's never too late to do that. So following your dreams, following your bliss, if you're curious about something, one of the main things I'm like, wealth, whatever your values are, most people are going to follow what their values are. If you value wealth, if you value family, if you value art and culture, those are the things that make you rich. It's never too late to be that. So I'm 40. I'm going to be 42, right? And I don't know how young you are, but whatever it is that you like you right now, and I admire you for doing your podcast and running your podcast because there's so many people that would say, I'm too old to do that. I don't know how to do that. You've actually figured this thing out and you're running a whole platform and inviting guests and things of that nature. I would assume that that makes you feel rich, correct?
Hmm.
So there you go. That's exactly what it means.
Well, thank you for the compliment and everything. Because when podcast was on the list, my supervisor has said, You have a voice for it, you should sign up.
Yeah.
So while I was waiting for a DJ gig, and I got a text from my paternal cousin,
Mm-hmm.
and he said, You should do a music podcast.
Yeah.
So that's how I
Mm-hmm.
pitched in the idea. I named it the Black Soul Music Experience Podcast.
Mm-hmm.
So then at first, now I have to figure out what should I talk about. I couldn't do a podcast and say like, "Hey, how you doing? Did you get vaccinated? Did you survive the riots and everything?" I said, "That's not me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to talk about that. That's not
Yeah.
me. How
Mm-hmm.
can I come up with something?" And that's when my cousin said, "You should do a music podcast."
Mm-hmm.
And then when I kept in touch with my CBS coworker because
Mhm.
she was doing the podcast, but this was the birth of the podcast back in 2017.
Mhm.
That's when podcast was coming in.
Mhm.
I friended her on my Facebook homepage, and she started doing hers. And there's a difference between a podcast and a radio broadcast, though. So
Mhm.
I have to explain it to the folks, and they're saying,
Yeah.
what's the difference between a broadcast and a podcast? Well, broadcast, that means you're on the FCC.
Mhm.
That means you can't be cussing on CBS or NBC or ABC or PBS NPR. But you can cuss on HBO and Showtime. And then when I started listening to some of the other podcasters on YouTube, I was like, what's going on here? You mean they can cuss on there? Ain't that? Well, so for anyway, for my podcast, and any others, they can say what they want to say. They can cuss. They can say all the negative stuff and everything. They can say it on theirs. But on my music podcast, I'm keeping it radio family friendly.
Love that for
So,
you.
in
Mhm.
other words, I wanted to be like Dick Clark and Don Cornelius and Casey Kasem and
Mhm.
Wolfman Jack bringing music
Mhm.
to TV,
Yep.
but be more informative like Walter Cronkite and Bill McCrary and Gus Henningberg and Max Robinson and Don Lemon and Joy Reid and Melba
Mhm.
Tolliver and Gil Noble. Those are the reporters that, I had to sit and watch the news all the time,
Right.
and public affairs programs that affects the Black and Latino community.
Right.
So
Mhm.
I touch base on everything, not
Mhm.
just interviewing singers and musicians, but I got a chance to interview a lady who works at a production company that takes
Mhm.
care of singers, who does movie and TV themes.
Yep.
So
Mhm.
you never know, your favorite TV show could be a top 10 hit on
Yeah.
Billboard's Hot 100 Pop Singles charts. And that's an example that we attend to miss because we don't pay any close attention to the credits.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
for me as a consumer, I always like to find out who was the guest
Ooh.
on any of the shows, whether
Yeah.
it's comedy or drama.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
would like to find out who's it made by. Now,
Mhm.
even though it was aired on CBS or NBC or ABC and Fox, I always like to figure out who's it made by. Because back in the 70s, we had the VHS.
Yeah.
That's where they get to first. And
Mhm.
then by 1981, it would get to that Laserdisc LP. When we got to the 2000s, we would get it into DVD. And now today, everything is streaming online. And then I got Me TV and Cozy TV. They'll show you the whole thing, who's it made by, and stuff
Mhm.
like that.
Mhm.
So that was me growing up because I always like to find out who's it made by. Same thing going to the movies. I always like to find out who did the music and who get the credit for that and things like that. Because, like I said, you never know. Your favorite TV show or movie could be a top 10 hit. And
Right.
then when awards time comes, then you'll probably figure out they did that. We didn't know that. That's why for us black people, we just like
Right.
changing channels and don't realize of who made the product.
Mhm.
And you never know. It could be a person of color or gender or disability
Mhm.
that, did behind the scenes.
Right.
And sometimes we don't usually pay close attention of who get the credit.
Mhm. Mhm.
So
Mhm.
again, I thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Now, here's a question that I always ask my guests: living or dead, which singer or musician that you would have been a makeup artist to?
Oh, wow. Wow. I would have loved to do Janet Jackson's makeup. Um and I would have loved to do I helped a lot of celebrities, but definitely Oprah Winfrey was one that I would want to do. And one of my friends, who was a colleague, she actually got to do Oprah's makeup, and I was just like, she is, And I was always one degree of separation from the bigger artists. I would also assist them on a lot of their shoots and things like that. So I got to really meet and help do a lot of people, and be in the same vicinity as a lot of artists. So that's one of the reasons why I wanted to do TV and film, was because I got to really be in the same rooms as these people. So, but Oprah and Janet, definitely, hands down. But Oprah is not a music artist, but as far as music is concerned, definitely Janet Jackson, for sure.
Okay. Now, here in the Black Soul Music Experience podcast, I always ask my guests who are the top 10 R&B Black artists of all time. But
Mm,
since this is a music that play a part in fashion and the arts episode, we're
mm-hmm.
going to do something a little different. We're going to do the Black Soul Music Experience podcast top 10 R&B Black artists who are also entrepreneurs.
Oh, wow.
In other words, what do they do on the side while they were performing? Did they have
Right.
their own record labels? Did they have their own franchise, whether
Yeah.
it's fried chicken, or did they had a
Yeah.
clothing line, or
Mm-hmm.
did they have a beauty makeup line,
Right.
etc., etc. So we're
Right.
going to do that. So this
Okay.
is something new with a little twist. Now,
Yeah.
here's how it works. We do it like a top 10 countdown, like the show America's Top 10, hosted by the late Casey Kasem. We start at the bottom five, who were the best singers that had something on the side
Mm-hmm.
that attracts the viewer and attracts the reader. And then when we get to the top five, we're going to find out who was the best artist that had the best clothing line, the best makeup line. And yeah, if those who have the little franchises here and there,
Mm-hmm.
whether it could be fast food restaurants
Mm-hmm.
or other things, or they like co-owners of some
Mm-hmm.
sports teams and things like that. So we're going to do that top 10. So Troy, are you ready to take the challenge?
Ready to take it. Ready.
Okay. And if you get stuck, I'll help you out.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Who should be at number 10?
And number 10, who should be there? And that's possibly Alicia Keys.
Okay, we'll put Alicia Keys. She's starting out.
Mm-hmm.
She has her beauty makeup line.
Mm-hmm.
And somewhere back in the mid 2010s or either mid 2016, when I first saw her on Saturday Night Live, I was like, she's not wearing no makeup?
Yeah.
For the first time, she was
Uh-huh.
not wearing no makeup. I
Yeah.
was like, whoa.
Yeah.
Compared to all of the singers who be wearing makeup,
Mm-hmm.
some a little bit, some heavy, but
Yeah.
when they're done what they had to do on stage, it's just kind of like take this little thing and just take everything off. And I would see the little difference. I was like,
Yeah.
they don't look like you.
Yeah, I actually thought that was really daring though, and I loved that she did that. But there is a such thing as no makeup in the beauty world, and she still could have covered some of those under circles under her eyes and things like that. She could have done, but I understand the movement in what she's doing, because I had a moment where I went browless for like a year. I just shaved my brows. I started off bleaching them, and then I shaved them off, and I wore no brows for a year. And it was before a lot of people are doing it now. I did this long time ago, back in like 2017. And there was a famous model who used to do it, and I loved that about her. So I was like, I'm gonna channel her, but I loved the movement behind it. It was like being her true self and accepting herself without makeup, but still it took nothing away from the talent that she actually had. So it was like, okay, yeah, I'm not wearing makeup, but I'm still Alicia Keys and I'm still gonna kill it on this piano when I come on the stage. So I love that she did that.
Okay, so we'll put Alicia at number 10. Who
Hmm.
should be at number 9?
Um, number 9, maybe, what's her name? Mariah Carey.
Okay, we'll put Mariah Carey. Okay, so I don't know if I've seen any of those makeups out yet here and
She
there.
has, I think she had it wasn't makeup. I think she had what was her brand? I have to look it up, but she had something. I'm not sure. I got to look up what her brand was. It wasn't makeup though.
Okay. What?
I think it was
Oh,
clothing. Didn't she have a clothing?
clothing? I
Yeah,
think so. Yeah, clothing. Yeah. So
she
I
had a
haven't.
clothing brand.
Yeah, I haven't seen it that much. So we'll put Mariah at number 9 for the clothing thing. All right. Who should be at number 8?
I think I read somewhere. Um, she doesn't have a clothing line. I just looked it up. She doesn't. Um, I know who should be at number one.
We'll leave that for last.
Let's see. She doesn't have, it's for any. They have to be entrepreneurs, or does it have to be fashion, or can it be whatever they have?
It could be whatever they have because we're doing like those who have like entrepreneurs.
Okay, good.
It could
Okay,
be clothing or beauty or franchise
okay,
restaurants
okay. Patty
or like
LaBelle.
they're co-owners for different,
Yeah,
sports and
Patty
anything
LaBelle
like
is
that.
one. She has the
Yes.
pies.
Mm-hmm.
Patty LaBelle had her cookbooks. She
Mm-hmm.
had um.
Yeah,
Let's
she'll be
see,
best remembered for making those pies and then
pies.
sell them at Walmart. But
Yes.
let me tell you, she'll be making them pies nonstop.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody wants to get that sweet potato pie from Patty
They
LaBelle.
were online for those pies.
Yep.
Yep.
So we'll put
Um.
Patty LaBelle at number 8 for those pies.
Yeah.
And I'm saying to myself, it can come up here. I wish it can get up to either Target or someplace else or somewhere in the neighborhood. I said, where's the Patty LaBelle pies?
I still have not had a pie to this day.
Uh-huh. Alrighty. Who should be at number 7?
Uh, Mary J. Blige. She
Okay.
has wine.
Oh, wine, wine,
She
wine, wine.
wine a wine brand. Yeah.
Oh.
Called Sun Goddess Wines.
Oh, Sun
Mhm.
Goddess Wines, huh?
Mhm.
Oh,
Mhm.
Mary, okay.
Mhm.
Okay, Mary J. Blige, Queen of Hip Hop Soul, Boogie
Mhm.
Down Bronx, moved
Yep.
in everywhere. Let's see
Yep.
what you got there. Oh,
Yep.
okay. Because, we'll put her at number 7, even though I don't go to the liquor store. That's not me. I don't drink. That's not me.
Yeah, I don't
But when
either.
I see, like many celebrities, whether they have
Mhm.
their own franchise or they're doing some commercials, uh, um, what's the word I'm looking for? Doing joint ventures with
Yes,
them.
joint ventures. Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll put Mary J. Blige at number 7. All right,
Okay.
who should be at number 6?
Um, there is John Legend. He also has wine.
Mm. You should take it slow.
Yep. John Legend. Um, he has wines. It's called LVE wine.
LVE?
Hmm.
Oh, LVE. Okay. Alrighty. So we'll put John Legend at number 6 for the LVE wine. All right. Who should be at number 5?
Um, I know. Oh, but he's not an R&B artist. I'm thinking of the comedian. His name is Kevin Hart.
Ah, Kevin Hart.
Kevin Hart. He's not in the music industry, but he is in entertainment.
Uh huh.
He has Gran Carmino tequila,
Hmm.
and he also has protein powder and like superfood. He's into like health and wellness now.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So we'll put, funny man, Kevin Hart at number 5. All
Yep.
right. We're up to number 4.
Okay. Tiana Taylor. She's a fashion designer.
Ah, Tiana Taylor. Oh, okay.
She.
I just saw her recently on Saturday Night Live recently
Mm-hmm.
when she was doing those skits and everything.
She has her
I
own.
didn't know
She
that she was a
designs
fashion
sneakers.
designer.
She designs sneakers. She also has. She's collaborated with Allen Iverson and Reebok for sneakers. She also has her own line, a collaboration with Nike, where she has a brand of Jordans, and she
Hmm.
did the fitness line, the fitness clothing line. Um, yeah. So I remember her for that. Let's see who else.
Okay, so we'll put Tiana Taylor at number 4. Who should be at number 3?
Uh, Brandy.
Ah, Brandy. What's Brandy up to now? Hmm.
She has her own line of brandy.
Brandy. Oh,
She has
that
her own
Brandy.
line of brandy.
Oh, okay. Well, Brandy, looks like you're getting into the brandy business. No wonder they called you Brandy.
Yeah.
Oh, that's why you don't want to be down.
Yep.
All right, so we'll put Brandy at number 3. Who should be at number 2?
Number two, you got your girl Beyonce. I've been holding out on this one. Number two, Beyonce.
Ah, yes, Beyonce, because you know her mother takes care of the house of De Leon
Yes,
jeans.
yes, yes.
Yes.
And she
So,
partnered with Adidas for her clothing line,
mm-hmm,
Blue Ivy.
mm-hmm.
And then she even owns a beauty brand hair care line called Sacred.
Oh,
So she has her own hair care line.
oh,
hmm
okay. Way to go, Beyonce.
Right.
Yeah. So
hmm
we'll put Beyonce at number 2.
hmm
All right, who should be at number 1?
Number one is my girl Rihanna.
Ah, yes. We
hmm
saved the best for last.
Yes.
Rihanna, she's doing it, everything, the most things that she's doing, everything, beauty and hairlines, etc., etc.
She has a whole house. hmm
Yes, because every time I see her on the cover of Esquire magazine, I think, what she's doing now? She's doing something on the side,
She has
everything.
fragrances. She has
Uh-huh.
clothing. She has lingerie. She has makeup, hair, skincare.
Hmm.
And I don't remember if she's got alcohol yet, but she definitely has all of those other ones for sure. So she is a documented billionaire.
Wow. So there you have. We have Rihanna at number 1.
hmm
Now, before we close out, I want to give a shout out and a honorary to the godfather of soul, the late James Brown. And I was watching a documentary special back in, I think it was May of 1991,
hmm
after he got on early parole. It
Yeah.
was doing a special. It was called James Brown, the Man, the Music, the Message.
Mm.
And the only thing that I didn't know that James Brown had owned a few radio stations
Wow.
and then had his own franchise, fried chicken
Yeah.
restaurants
Right.
and everything. So that
hmm
was something that I didn't know
Yeah. Yeah.
growing up.
Yeah.
So
That's one
what?
of the amazing things about, getting your money from your talent, but taking that money from your talent and investing it in different businesses, which is
Mm-hmm,
what you should do. Because yes, you're artistic and you have an art that you display, but then you also are using your art to create more streams of income for yourself and your family and creating legacy. That's how you
mm-hmm,
create legacy. And so, you know, you should never have one thing going on. You should always figure out how you do the thing that you're known for, do it well, take that money and invest it. I love that they've done that. And that's what I,
Mhm.
teach as well. So it's a beautiful thing. Entrepreneurship is wonderful. Is wonderful.
Yes. Yes, so there we have our top 10 R&B artists that does entrepreneurs.
Hmm.
Now, before we wrap things up, we've talked about everything and
Yeah.
your situation, your
Yeah.
entrepreneurship,
Hmm.
where you started as retail and
Hmm.
everything. Things kind of started dipping down and
Yeah.
then you got back up.
Hmm.
Now that you had done all of your accolades,
Hmm.
what would you like to be remembered as?
Wow. I would like to be remembered as a leader, as a visionary, and as someone who just, because I know I'm resilient. So, someone who's resilient, visionary, and just an authority in the space that I'm in. And definitely somebody who, helps other people get to the level that they want to get to. So I'm always lifting people up. And I love to do that. Even when I'm not in a place where I need to be, I'm always helping lift somebody else up. So that's what I want to be remembered as.
Okay, well, I couldn't agree with you more.
Mhm.
Troi Hawkins, thank you so much for being here on the Black Soul Music Experience podcast.
Thank you so
It's been a
much.
pleasure talking with you. Thank you so much for your time and your
Thank
talent and your testimony and everything. I hope the audience out there have listened to your story.
you. Mhm.
And yes, things is not going to go easy. It takes time, but sometimes we got to have a backup plan
Yep.
and make sure everything is all successful. So
Yes.
again, I thank you
Thank you
so
so much for
much.
having me. I appreciate you. It was fun. Thank you.
Yes, I salute you.
Take
And
care.
again, special shout out to Nina.
Mhm.
Thank her for recommending me to interview you
Thank you,
on your show.
Nina.
Yes. Now, before we go, where can we follow you on social media and give us a quick plug on everything that we need to know, including the funded and flourishing?
Yes. So funded and flourishing, you can go to my Instagram, which is funded and you have to spell it out and flourishing on Instagram. I'm also on Facebook as Troi Hawkins. And the website is still being developed. It was being redeveloped, so I had to start doing that over. But I do have links to get connected with me on my Instagram where you can book a call. So if you follow me on Instagram, there's a link in my profile in my bio where you'll be able to book a call if you have any questions on how to build your business or you need some coaching, and you can follow me there. Also, House of Valina, but the O of is actually a zero. So House of Valina, but the O is a zero. Valina spelled V as in Victor, ELENA. So it is bare bones now, but we're building the Instagram page for that. So yes, and we're doing a complete rebrand, so everything is coming together right now. So we just been working behind the scenes and building. So definitely follow me on Funded and Flourishing and you'll be able to get connected with me there.
Alrighty. Download all the artists who have something on the side doing entrepreneurials
Mhm.
that we have talked about on this edition of the Black Soul Music Experience podcast. Visit iTunes.com, Spotify.com, or purchase a CD at Amazon.com. Make sure you follow Miss Troi Hawkins. Follow her on Facebook.com/Troi Hawkins.
Mhm.
Follow her on Instagram at Funded and Flourishing. And be sure to look for her new and improved website
Mhm.
soon, fundedandflourishing.com.
Mhm. Thank you.
And ladies and gentlemen, if you want to know more about my podcast, please subscribe to my new and improved website, the Black Soul Music Experience Podcast.com. That's the Black Soul Music Experience Podcast.com. And if you want to know more about this episode, Please subscribe to the Black Soul Music Experience podcast. Look for me on these 5 platforms. I'm on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, and Pocket Cast. And the link is riverside.fm/studio/Samuel-Wilson Jr.'s. Don't forget to add the S at the end, -studio. And I will be posting this episode on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter. And if you have a hard time getting on to riverside.fm, then please become a member and subscribe to patreon.com/the Black Soul Music Experience Podcast number 6. If you have a computer, use your email address and your password. Go to the Patreon homepage where you see all of the Patreon shows done by different creators. And make sure you go to the search box and type in my podcast, the Black Soul Music Experience Podcast number 6. Check out all of my audio and video podcast episodes and the video podcast clips that you may have missed. And if you have a hard time getting on to Patreon, then I will be posting this episode on YouTube. Please go to my YouTube channel. Go to youtube.com/@the-black-soul-music-experience. If you like this episode, if you love my podcast, please subscribe, please support, please give me a thumbs up, please leave a comment, and please pass it on. Thank you for joining me as I close out this edition of the Black Soul Music Experience.
Well, that's about it for this edition of the Black Soul Music Experience Podcast. I'm Sam Wilson Jr. Thank you for joining me, and please tune in next week for an all-new episode. The Black Soul Music Experience Podcast is sponsored by the support of listeners and viewers like you. If you enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe to the Black Soul Music Experience Podcast. Look for my podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, and Pocket Cast. And don't forget the link. The link is riverside.fm/studio/Samuel-Wilson Jr.'s-studio. And don't forget to check out my audio and video podcast episodes by becoming a member and subscribe to patreon.com/the Black Soul Music Experience Podcast. And please check out my video podcast episodes by subscribing to youtube.com/the Black Soul Music Experience Podcast. And please leave your comments, feedbacks, and replies by going to my Facebook homepage. Go to facebook.com/the Black Soul Music Experience Podcast. You can also tweet me on X, aka Twitter, at Sam Wilson Jr. 66. And follow me on Instagram at SAMM.Y2980. As always, partying, remember this. Reach for the top and your dreams will come true, and it can happen to you. From all of us, take care. God bless. Thanks for listening. Have a good week, and please be safe.